No pattern? No problem. Find out how to design a quilt with no pattern, just blocks. Hi, I'm Angela Walters, a quilt designer and an instructor on Craftsy.com, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a quilt when you don't have a pattern. Designing your own quilt top is easy when you start with the blocks and build up. First, make it easy on yourself and your calculator by making all of your quilt blocks the same size. If they are an assortment of sizes, lay them out and determine which block is the largest. Use coordinating fabrics to add borders to the sides of the smaller blocks to make them as big as the largest block. When doing this, I find that it's easier to add borders that are too big and then trim the block down to the desired size. Once the blocks are all the same size, use a design wall to audition some different layouts. A piece of batting hung on the wall or a fleece blanket will allow you to stick the blocks together to see what they would look like when they're assembled. If wall space is scarce, you can lay the blocks out on the floor. Sometimes deciding on the perfect arrangement is the hardest part. If you aren't sure which layout is your favorite, take pictures to compare the layouts side by side. And once the blocks are an arrangement that you like, start sewing them together. Depending on the layout that you've selected, you might be able to sew them together in rows. If that isn't possible, sew them in groups. Now that the center of the quilt is finished, you can add borders to the sides. This is a great option to make the quilt larger or to incorporate other fabrics into the quilt top. While it may be tempting to just start sewing borders onto the quilt, a little time spent measuring will ensure that the quilt is square. Determine the length of the two sides of the quilt, then cut and measure the border fabric before sewing it on. Repeat with the other two sides. Now that you know how to design your own quilt, experiment to come up with some of your favorite variations. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, you can click the I in the top right corner of this video to learn more quilting techniques or to find the supplies I've been using in this video.